Hello world and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome! I am nikkirenae and today is, I guess, the second installment of reading the Geek Girl series. Today I'm reading Model Misfit. If you can't tell, I did in fact just finish the Geek Girl vlog. And I'm immediately jumping into this. I'm actually going to my sister's house today. My mom is dog sitting and we like to get the dogs together sometimes to just let them get out so much energy. So I figured I might as well bring a book. Whether or not I will actually be able to read, whole other scenario. Whole other thing. I figured I'll just bring Model Misfit. Why not? Maybe try and get this off. Actually, I have some alcohol wipes here because if you don't know, I am actually chronically sick and disabled, and I've just had a new development on that front, so now I have lots of supplies always coming in. I even have my own sharps container, so I think an alcohol square alcohol pad can help get these kinds of stickers off. We'll see. I did get this from thrift books, if you can't tell, which is why it's a little mangled, because I am very nice to my books. I think it's actually definitely working, so that's fun. I was a tad skeptical, if I'm being completely honest. So just a disclaimer, obviously, since this is the second book in the series, there might be a couple of spoilers coming ahead, so definitely just be aware of that. I do try and always talk about books in an ambiguous, sort of critical way to make it so that you can still watch, even if it is a sequel or featuring a sequel or something, so that, you know, you can still just enjoy the video without having to worry about something like that. Success! Without even a mark to show. That, holy heck, why do people complain about stickers so much when that was the easiest thing I've literally ever done? Don't get me wrong, I have encountered a I have encountered a difficult sticker in my time. Anyway, like I said, this is a sequel reading vlog. I had a lot of people suggest that I just do one book per video, and I think that's a good idea for some aspects. There are some videos that I make that are more than one, like my seasonal reading vlogs, which tend to have like 3, maybe 4. I think I've decided 3 is a good one. But anyway, this is a sequel. There might be spoilers coming ahead. I do like spoilers. I almost always have some sort of spoiler section going on because I personally like spoilers, and sometimes I just need to talk through stuff that happened because it's just... All that being said, I'm very excited to get back into the world of Harriet Manners, being a model and a geek. And as far as this says, she is not only a model and a geek, but she's now a misfit, because this says, meet Harriet Manners, misfit, model, still a geek. Let's read the back. Harriet Manners is a model. She thought modeling would be her chance to transform herself, but she feels even less popular and more awkward now than she did when she was just a geek. So, when the famous designer Yuka Ito offers her a modeling job in Japan, it seems like the perfect vacation. She might have to bring along her crazy grandma Bunty, and she might run into Nick, the gorgeous model who unceremoniously dumped her 2 months ago. But no one is going to ruin Harriet's fabulous Tokyo summer unless she ruins it herself. This is so fun. It definitely sounds like Harriet's going to get into some shenanigans. Things are gonna happen. We get to meet Crazy Grandma Bunty, which is a new character. I was a little bit confused. Let's address the biggest thing though. Nick dumped her. What do you mean? If you don't know, Nick, from the original first book, Geek Girl, is this really good-looking model that Harriet was always coming in contact with, and spoiler alert, at the end we found out that while it seemed like Wilbur, her agent and manager, was her fairy godmother, it was actually Nick who had like spearheaded her modeling career. He decided he liked her and he got her in the job. And then apparently he dumped her. So wow, this has got so much stuff going on. If you don't know, I am a firm believer in the ideals of sequels from Ally Carter, especially in her Dear Ally, How Do You Write a Book, in that a sequel should expand the world in various ways. So in this one, it seems like we've got a few different elements happening in which there's a new modeling job. She's going to Japan. It's now summer vacation, so we don't have the element of school hindering her work experience like we did in the first book, and we're not going to any of the same places. Like we went to Russia in the first book, and then we also went just back to where Harriet is from, which I believe is just England. And then we also have the new character of her grandma, and then given that this is a new setting, I am betting we're going to get some more new characters and a lot of opportunities for new, awkward, embarrassing moments and shenanigans for Harriet to fall into. For a moment there, I was a little bit confused about whether I had mixed them up between Model Misfit and Picture Perfect because Nick had broken up with her, but no. Nope, the extra excerpt at the end is for Picture Perfect. And just to address this really quickly, there are basically two different covers of the series. This, I think, is the original cover with the girl and the face, and she makes a lot of different expressions depending on the book. And then there's always the glasses. And then usually there's also math formulas on her face. But since I got a lot of these from thrift books, I couldn't choose the cover that was going to come, so I have two of them and these other covers, which I'm wondering if these are like the UK editions. I'm not sure. I will look that up though. And so these other covers have a lot of the same elements with the glasses, but instead they just have a sort of, is it monochrome? I feel like that's not right. Just a singular color situation happening and no faces. So this is 387 pages long, which is about 20 more pages than the first book. And it seems like a lot of the books are around this. I think the biggest one is actually All That Glitters, and then Forever Geek, which are the 4th and 6th books. But all that being said, I am going to go finish packing to go spend the night with my mom at my sister's house with all the dogs, and I will bring you along and we will see whether or not I really start reading. Yeah, I'm so excited to keep going. I can't wait to see how this book will be translated into the show because they're vastly different for the first book and the first season, so we'll see how that goes, but I'm really, really excited to just keep going. Hello and welcome to my sister's house. If you haven't been here before, it has been featured on a video before, not the point. I've started Model Misfit. I just shut it and I completely forgot, what is it? I completely forgot a sticky note, so I'm at page 72. I don't know how far that is otherwise, but I'm at page 72 and I can already tell that I think this series, I might just literally love this entire series. It's just so fun, and there's just always something going on. Another thing that I always think back on as a piece of advice from Ally Carter is that conflict is gas. You always need conflict, and this book, this series, 100% embodies that. There's always something going on. Plans are never going according to plan. And it is a huge thing for Harriet to have plans, and she's always catastrophizing because her plans don't really go accordingly. However, we have gotten some more modeling. Obviously, the whole point of this one is that she's going to Tokyo, to Japan, for a whole modeling thing, so I'm so excited to see how that would work. Some of the things that I was trying to just that I wanted more of from the first one was more modeling, like the specific there. Okay. I don't know what they've just, but they're up. Just more modeling. I was hoping to see more of the romance between Harriet and Nick, although I don't know how that's going to work here as he's dumped her. I don't know what I'm expecting from this. Obviously, I'm hoping that Harriet and Nick reconcile, maybe? They get back together. I'm sensing that there might be more behind the breakup than Harriet knows or that he let on. A big thing for this one is that Harriet's stepmom, this is a spoiler for the first book, Harriet's stepmom is pregnant, and it's very, very pregnant. Very, very into the pregnancy, because this is 6 months after the first book, or after the end of the first book. So Annabelle is now very, very pregnant, and it is definitely giving another element of the conflicts that Harriet sort of goes through or that she struggles with, given that she is a teenager and she's the first child and she's not Annabelle's biological daughter, and it's seeming that Harriet is struggling with the idea of what will happen once the baby is there, given what's happening while the baby is already not there yet. She's already voiced that she just kind of feels like she's being pushed out of her own house and that everything is about the baby and she just can't have a say edgewise, and it's a little bit sad to see. We have not met her crazy Grandma Bunty yet. I'm excited for that. And I will say, after having read the first book and having the context of knowing that autism has a very important role in the book, I wasn't quite sure who exactly Harriet might have gotten it from, but I'm really starting to think that it might be her dad. I can't tell if he might be autistic or just have ADHD, or he's just eccentric. I'm not entirely sure. And of course he doesn't need an actual diagnosis. I just was wondering about that. So, some of the things that are going on in Harriet's life outside of that is that she's trying to have the best summer ever, and it's just not working out. She was so excited to spend the summer with her friends, with Nat and Toby, and then Nat is actually going to France as a punishment situation, and obviously Harriet did not want to spend the entire summer with her stalker Toby. When, out of the blue, she gets a call from her agent, I think it's agent, Wilbur, and Harriet, being Harriet, is thinking that she's about to get fired because of a situation at a shoot, which is actually where we start the book in, but he's actually calling to tell her that she's got this big opportunity in Tokyo, Japan. So currently Harriet is trying to convince her parents into letting her go. Right now the plan is by herself, but she is 15 and she wants to go to another country, another continent, so it's not working quite well for her. So, and genuinely, it is just so funny and like eye-opening and genuine and organic to see this situation and all these things happening right now, because there are times when Harriet sort of seems like she's being melodramatic and she's kind of having a tantrum as a 15-year-old, and it's just a little bit much. However, when you take into account literally all the things that have been happening to her that seem like obviously things aren't really going well together, it just seems like everything's going wrong at the same time. You're kind of just, you gotta sympathize, because yeah, what the actual heck, you know, the deal was that she's a geek, she gets to be a model, she gets to have her metamorphosis, she gets to just be something cooler, something that she wants to be more, and that's just not happening. So whenever she has like a sort of tantrum, on the one hand you want to be like, oh, she's a teenager, they do this, but on the other hand it's like valid. So valid. Those are my thoughts so far at about 70, I said 72. We have not seen Nick yet. We have seen just about everybody else. We have not seen Yuka Ito, and we have not technically seen Wilbur, but we have heard from Wilbur. I think this is going to be really fun. It's definitely setting up some interesting situations. I think it's definitely going to be doing a lot of good things for a sequel, and then also for an extension of the series. And I definitely think that the addition of it being in summer is going to add a lovely new element, because we've only seen Harriet dealing with all of her things during the school year. So she's also balancing schoolwork. And now it's summer vacation, so she's not anymore. So she's going to have so much more time to get into shenanigans and do the things. I mean, I want to say that I'm ready, but I feel like I'm not going to be ready for this. But I'm so stoked, so excited to just continue, keep going, and read more. So it's a few days later. Again, if you can hear the AC, I apologize, but it's literally like 90 degrees outside. It's necessary. Anywho, like I said, it's a few days later. I am much farther in Model Misfit. I think the last time I spoke to you, I was at page 90, and now I'm at 305. And yeah, no, I love this series. I think it's going to end up being a top favorite. I think it'll be something that I will possibly reread in a couple of years, just like I do almost all the time with Ally Carter books. I thought I would come on here and talk about Model Misfit since I'm literally 210 pages farther than last time we spoke. However, I completely forgot that there was a whole other segment to these videos that I wanted to do, which was the novellas. So I remembered that once I went on to Goodreads to add Model Misfit, and then I was like, hold the phone, because I was absolutely very much so deep into the horrifying awkwardness of post-breakup Harriet and Nick. And the first novella is called All Wrapped Up, and it is the story of Harriet at Christmas, just a few days after her first kiss with Nick, and they are going on their first date. And it is the cutest thing ever. And then at the end of this, I don't know if it's just this version or what, but at the end of All Wrapped Up is a short story called Team Geek. So I've read both so far. Team Geek. You probably, it's whatever. So I took a break-see from Model Misfit to read the novella and short story, and I'm so happy I did. I think it really helped me power through to just see how freaking cute they are, how well Nick and Harriet work together as a team and a couple, and it was the best. It was the best. It was just so nice to see that through all of the awkwardness that is Harriet, Nick was just okay with it. He was just going with it, and it was the cutest thing ever. So All Wrapped Up is basically just like the epitome of Harriet and Nick. It is just the perfect little short story for them, the perfect novella, and I adored it. Harriet loves Christmas. It's so fun reading from Harriet because she's always got so many random facts, and I love a good random fact. Love a good random fact. And then Team Geek was actually just like a cute little short story to really cement, I think, Harriet in school. We haven't truly seen her in school so much between Geek Girl and Model Misfit, or even All Wrapped Up. Geek Girl was more of the modeling side of things, but it was not exactly very specific in the modeling side of things. And Model Misfit is also modeling, but it's during summer, and then All Wrapped Up is during Christmas. So I think Team Geek was just a really good way to just cement the way that Harriet just does not fit in, and how her bully Alexa is just so keen on taking her down, and which is just wild because as far as we know, there's no real reason for why Alexa hates her so much, but she does. So page 90 was when we finally met Grandma Bunty, and so many things have happened since then. We've gone to Japan. Harriet has just had the time of her life. She really feels like she's fitting in there. She feels like everybody just understands the rules, or just that there are no rules and everybody's okay with that. She just thinks that this is the place where she could actually finally be herself, and she won't continue to feel like a polar bear in a rainforest. And then naturally, because it's Harriet, as soon as things started going, things also started going downhill. And it was wild, truly wild. Truly wild. There are a lot of things going on that I'm suspicious about. There was one little plot twist that I totally saw coming, which I think is partly due to having seen the show, but also partly because it just makes sense. We've run into Nick, we've run into a few new models, we've seen Wilbur, we watched Wilbur go away, we watched Wilbur come back, and it was just, it's so fun. This is sort of the story of Harriet's modeling career with Yuka Ito, while Yuka Ito is opening her new brand, she's launching her new brand, and it's just so fun to see these really cool new and inventive sets. It's just like, it's so fun. Like, I wish I could see the actual pictures, and I wish I could just see how they would come out. Like I said, I'm at page 305, which means I only have like 70, 60, what is it, 80? About 80 pages left. And I totally think I could finish it very, very quickly. And then I'm debating on if I want to continue reading Geek Girl or take a break, because there are 6 books, so I can go to 2 and 2 and take a break between for other books. And there are 2 specific books that I really, really, really want to read before August, because one of them is an arc for a book by an author I love. So I think once I finish Model Misfit, I will take a teeny tiny break from Harriet, because she is a lot, to be fair. I love her, I adore her, but she is a lot. I think what's really fun about this book is that there is a plot twist, and you can see it coming if you pick up on the little clues. They're not necessarily subtle clues, because it's not even that we get like the actual clue of it, but it's sort of the kind of thing where you're like, that doesn't make sense, because Harriet would never do that, if that makes sense. Like, there is a time when she has a mishap on what time she's supposed to go to a shoot, and it's just sort of like, Harriet would never do that, you know, because she's just so very meticulous with everything. She's got lists, she's got 3 alarm clocks, and you're just like, something's not right here, and then you figure out why, and you're like, oh, okay. Okay, so the dynamics going on in this book are so very fun. I think Geek Girl was definitely the kind of book that just sets up the whole series, sets up the world and our main character. It's definitely a very good introductory book with not necessarily a whole lot of conflict, to be fair. And then Model Misfit is a great extension because it does continue the story in a way that gives it more depth. I like to say the first book had a lot of nuance, there were a lot of interesting things being told and happening, just lots of interesting aspects that you don't normally see in other books, and Model Misfit continues that interesting factor, but it also does a really good job of strengthening the story, giving it depth, making it more, just giving it more, I think. And I'm so happy because I think a lot of the things that I said for the first book, where I was like, I wish her parents were quite so selfish, I think selfish seems like such a harsh word, but like that's the best that I can come up with. But I wished that her parents weren't quite so selfish. I wished we got more specifics for the modeling and we saw more Nick, and we're getting that in this book, and I'm so happy about it. The tone and the voice of this book is definitely continuing in the same way as Geek Girl. It's a lot of exposition, but it's actually really being balanced out really well with everything else. I think this one might have just slightly less exposition, like there's more things happening, so there's not as much time for Harriet to be in her head, and I think she's just getting more confident in herself, which is just so nice to see. And I really think that the end is going to make this book just like it did for the first one, so I cannot wait to keep going. I also just wanted to say that on the factor of novellas, there is another one called Sunny Side Up. I'm not sure where that falls into the lineup, but I will make sure to remember to read that. I have them on Kindle, like I had them on Kindle already downloaded and prepared and ready to go, and I just forgot because I was so excited to keep going. But I will make sure to do that. You can also find my ratings for the books at the end of this video. I'm trying to put like breakdowns and ratings of all the books that are featured in a video at the end of the video, and then I'm also posting them on my Bookstagram, which is the same handle as YouTube, which is just nikkirenaeslibrary. I think I might just sit in here and finish, if I'm being super duper honest, just because I've been sitting a lot in bed and I feel like I need a change of scenery, and I love it in here. Like I said, page 305, I finally got home to get a sticky note, which is great. And then my pegboard, because I have one here and then I have one there. The pegboard over there housed my sticky notes. Yeah, and it fell last night. So that's how that's going. So page 305, chapter 68, I think my prediction is that things are going to be cleared up with Nick, because I have a feeling some of what's been happening with them is definitely due to miscommunication, and I can't tell if that is a Nick thing or a Harriet thing or like a relationship thing. So I'm hoping that in the last 80-ish pages of this book, things get cleared up and we find out why. So sticky note is off, and I'm going to finish this book. If you couldn't tell by how I have continually spoken about this book and the first book, it's gonna be a 5-star. For a little while I was thinking that Geek Girl was sort of the story of Harriet, and then Model Misfit would be the story of Harriet and Nick, and then we'd kind of continue like that. But I think that's not true. I think it's all just Harriet's story, and that's okay. I think it's Harriet's story and everybody's along for the ride, but I think it's also everybody else's story at the same time. It's mostly Harriet, she's the main character, but it's also Harriet and Nick's story, and Harriet and Nat's story, and Harriet and her parents' story, and I just really, really, really loved this. Like I said, there's sort of a twist in here. There's a little bit of a plot twist, and you think that you've got it figured out, and then you don't, and you think that you've got the characters figured out, and then you don't. And I really appreciate that, because Harriet is so smart, like she knows so many things, but at the same time I really like that this series shows that just because you know a lot of fun facts and you're very smart, that doesn't mean you know everything, and that doesn't mean that you know people, and there's still more to learn. And I think that's really important to know and to remember, especially when you're a teenager and you're still figuring things out and you've still got a lot going on. Harriet tends to take things out of context and then catastrophize, and that's such a teenage thing to do, and I think even once you're an adult, people do it, and that's okay. That's okay. There's always the opportunity to figure it out, to rationalize, and then to learn from that. And I think what's important about this series is that Harriet does that. She's definitely got this fantastic character development going on where she makes mistakes and then she learns from them. In the first book, she seemed to neglect her friends a little bit, and in this book, she definitely changed that. While she was in Tokyo, she was still reaching out to them and keeping in contact, and it's just so nice to know that continuing through the next 4 books, we are probably still going to have a lot of the same things that I love from these first 2 books. The ending definitely was my favorite part. I think the ending is probably going to be my favorite part of all of these books, probably because there might be a continuing similar fashion where the books tend to have a long lead up to things that are going on and things that need to be resolved, and then the result in the end, which is fine. That's how books kind of work in general. I know. But what I mean is that every little thing is just leading up to the end, and I wish we got a little bit more in the middle rather than just things happening and then we sort of move on until the end. But at the same time, I think it just really works with Harriet because she is sort of the kind of person who something big happens, she catastrophizes for a little while, and then she moves on because she knows she has to move on from this and just not continue to just wallow over this thing. And I think it's just so real. I think she's a very real, organic character, and she just makes so much sense. I think it's so fun, the things that we get for the side characters and the developments that they get. We've seen some really fun stuff happen with Wilbur. We've seen Nat has a really fun development. Of course, we've got Bunty, we've got her parents. I think I really like that this book definitely did go better on the parent front. I think for a while it was not looking good, and then the end naturally saved it. And I'm so happy for that. I definitely liked this. And now I think I'm going to do just a few spoilers because, oh my god, I need to talk about some things. So in the show, there's this sort of fake dating plot going on between Nick and Poppy. So I was sort of expecting that to happen, and then we actually found out that they were never dating. Poppy lied. Poppy fully lied, and they were never dating, and the whole time Nick was trying to get back with Harriet because he never actually meant to break up with her in the first place. And if that's not the most Harriet thing ever, to just go 2 months thinking that your boyfriend broke up with you when in reality he didn't, and then to try and move on from him in front of him, oh my god. Like, it's the most Harriet thing ever. Wild. So truly wild. One of my new favorite side characters, I think, is definitely going to be Rin. I hope we keep seeing her. Rin is a model that Harriet met in this book, that we all met in this book actually, and for a little while she was a little iffy, but then things got cleared up and she's not iffy. She's not. She seems like she's definitely going to be a really good friend for Harriet, and that's one thing that I love about this series is that Harriet started out with just her one friend in Nat who seemed a little iffy to me, and now she's just getting so many more people in her circle, and I love it because it's so important to have people there to support you and to care about you and to love you, and I think Harriet definitely also needs that, especially in relation to modeling, to just keep her grounded, you know? And I love and appreciate that. And then the most important spoiler of all, Annabelle, Harriet's stepmom, got pregnant in the first book. She was pregnant throughout all of this book, right? And then at the end, she goes into labor a month early, which Harriet is very about. And Annabelle gives birth to a baby girl named Tabitha. So Harriet has a baby sister! Oh my gosh. I think in the third book she's supposed to be going to New York with Wilbur. I'm not entirely sure about that. But I'm wondering how this baby sister is going to continue to be part of the process, and also how long these books are supposed to be, because I thought they would last until she graduated from high school, but she's not even 16 yet. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm just so excited for whatever comes next. I love that this book is just so very well-rounded. Like I said, it's not just the Harriet show, it's definitely the Harriet show. But it's not just the Harriet show because we are still getting a lot of depth and development with the side characters and the other characters and all the things. And this book definitely lived up to some of the expectations that I had for and from the first book. I'm so excited for Picture Perfect to see what comes next. I think the only thing I would really want is just more Harriet and Nick. Naturally, I would love to see the development that has happened in this book with Nat, and then also the development with Wilbur, and then naturally more of Harriet's baby sister. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I think literally the amount of times I have to edit out and the amount of times that I say and have to edit out that I'm so excited and it's so fun. The books that I'm reading for these videos is just wild. And I can't tell if that would show that I'm just really liking these books or that I'm easily entertained. Can't tell. Overall, again, this book definitely fits in with the first book. It gives more to the series, it continues the series, it definitely does the job of a sequel. Every book, the world gets bigger, right? So we got more characters, we got more conflicts and challenges, and I loved it. The tone and the voice, Harriet is very consistent, but she is also very good at development. She's not just a static character, and neither are any of the side characters. I'm so excited to see what comes with the next 4 books, but like I said, I think I'm going to take a small break between this book and the 3rd book, Picture Perfect, and I'm going to read something else that's also been on my TBR for a while, you know, so that I don't get bored. I have time to think through things and all the things and all the things. So, with that being said, I think this is the end of the video. I've finished the book. I've said all I have to say, honestly. I don't know what else there is to say. I just loved it. I'm excited, and 5 stars. So, te aprecio mucho y mi corazón es tuyo para siempre. Adiós.